Alright, so for the last 30 days, I've been on a massive journey of self-discovery. One that is quite honestly likened to staring your inadequacies point blank in the mirror and having a megaphone shout them in your ear every second of every day. How? I tracked every second of my productivity. Now the reason I've done this was twofold. The first, as a little bit of self-discovery to really look at how I'm spending each minute of my day and whether it is actually aligned to the goals I want to achieve. But the second is to really take a deep dive into the skill set of productivity and translate some lessons that are hopefully going to be beneficial for the viewers, you guys, today. Without further ado, let me talk you through the method in which I've done this. Now, to be perfectly honest, it was actually really simple. Every single morning, I would wake up, I would take a seat down, I would open up my journal, and I would write down 6 tasks. 6 critical tasks that I believed yielded the highest return on investment to get me towards my goals. Now, once I had those 6 tasks down, I would then do the job of prioritizing them, with 1 being the most important. Maybe it's that sales meeting that I had to book for that day, and 6 being the least important, which maybe was a meditation session or taking out the trash so I didn't annoy my girlfriend. Second, very simple. Every single moment that I spent on one of those 6 tasks, I would keep a time track, a time log, and I would record it in a spreadsheet. And then at the end of the day, I would reflect on that spreadsheet to see how many minutes that I spent being productive. Now, there was some criteria for which I had to stick by in order to log minutes. The first was any single minute that wasn't spent on these tasks, even if it was a phone call from my manager or a help that I had to give to a neighbour, or maybe I need to take the recycling out or had to do a gym sesh, didn't really matter. Those were not productive hours, they were not the tasks that I set in the day, so they don't count. Now, as you can imagine, this was a tough task, but I've come up with some really insightful learnings from this process, and I really want to share them with you today and hopefully challenge some of your beliefs and educate you on better ways to be productive, because this honestly was quite honestly a slap in the face for how productive I thought I was, but it was also very insightful for better ways to be productive in the future. Alright, so learning number 1. You have 2 personalities. I want you to imagine this. There are 2 personalities in your brain. The first is the rider. The rider is a rational being. He or she knows exactly where they want to go. They have goals, they have visions for a better life, and they know the exact tasks which they need to do every single day in order to get there. The second is the wild stallion. Now, although a magnificent beast, the wild stallion is not interested in going to a destination. He's not interested on staying on the straight and narrow path. Instead, he likes to roam free, wild, instantly distracted by short-term, gratifying things like the grass beneath his feet or the breeze across the hills. Now, the problem is, your rider can't get anywhere in his destination without his stallion. So every single day, your rider has the challenge of mounting that stallion, trying to tame him, and trying to get your tasks and goals completed. Yet, the wild stallion is absolutely refusing to be tamed. Sometimes he kicks your rider right off and he's left in the mud. Other times he's more tamer and your rider and your stallion can actually go places. They get a little bit further. Now, whenever your rider and your stallion are working together, that is what I like to think of as productivity. When you're working in harmony and you're focused and you're actually managing your distractions so that you can get to the places you need to be. Quite honestly, we've all had days where that stallion is way more powerful than our rider. We have tasks that we want to do, but we just get thrown off and end up looking at Instagram stories all day. Or we swear this one time that we will go to the gym, but instead we want to stay warm and comfortable inside because that's what the stallion wants to do. Yet, simply just having knowledge of these 2 characters in your head, the rider, the real you that knows where it wants to go, and the stallion, the rest of you that would do everything to refuse you to get there, gives you power. So the next time you feel two conflicting thoughts, listen to the rider, because the rider knows the way to the destination. Lesson number 2. The real goal of productivity is not output, but instead resilience. So a lot of my days, the days where I didn't quite log as many productive minutes as I wanted to, went as following. I would wake up in the morning, I would write down my 6 tasks for the journal, I'd say that I want to go outside and work out for the morning, but instead I think, oh, I'm a little achy, or oh, that wasn't the best sleep in the world, maybe I should just do it tomorrow instead. Once I've skipped my workout, I take a seat down, get ready to work, and I think, you know, YouTube would really help me work right now. I'm sure there's a really strong productivity video that could give me a bit more motivation to really get the most out of my day. So my work would start 30 minutes later. Then my lunch hour would come up, and instead of having the eggs and vegetables in which I plan to have and ingest in my body, instead I think, well, you know, I haven't worked out today, so the protein won't be going to good use, and quite honestly, you know, I do have that leftover yogurt from yesterday, and yeah, I'll just have that instead. Every one of us can relate to this scenario. When we mess up one thing in the beginning of the day, just like a domino effect, everything else seems to fail. Now, here's something that I really learned about productivity from this. The goal of productivity isn't about going as hard as possible. That leads to burnout. It isn't about rushing and doing things as quickly as possible. That leads to an unfinished job. And it certainly is not about doing things as correctly as possible, because that's called being a perfectionist. Instead, the real power of productivity is that even when your stallion throws you off into the mud, you have the resilience to get back up, jump on his back, and try again. Even if the first 6 hours of your day have gone to complete rubbish, just the ability to get back onto task and try again is so much more powerful, and actually over a compounded length of time works out better to getting you towards your goals than just burning out and going hard instantly. So the thing I learned here is, no matter how much you get thrown off for the day, no matter how many times you fell off task or you procrastinated or eating that thing you shouldn't have, honestly, just learn to meet yourself with a bit of compassion. The wild stallion is a magnificent beast, but he's hard to tame, and he will dart his eyes wherever there is that bit of distraction. So it's up to you as the rider to grab him by the reins, mount him, and try every single day to tame him. Because once you and your stallion have that harmony and you finally manage to tame him, there is no limit to the places you can go. Number 3, the power of an accountability partner. So one of the biggest hacks throughout my experiment that kept me very, very productive was having my good friend Chris join me on this journey and record every single minute of his productivity as well. Every day that concluded, we would have a look at the minutes that we logged, compare, and quite honestly, see who done better. The benefit is twofold. The first, by spending time or creating a group with the type of people who have the qualities that you wish for yourself. Maybe it's improved confidence or productivity, or maybe they all just have great bodies and you want one yourself. You naturally begin to pick up those type of behaviors in order to fit in. In James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, he cites an incredible example of how this actually works. When we look at chimpanzees who have discovered a really effective way at cracking nuts open, the moment that they go ahead and join another chimpanzee tribe who crack nuts open in a more inferior way, they will actually drop the more effective way that they used to do it in order to blend in with the crowd, which ultimately ends up in them adopting poorer habits so they can blend in as part of their new chimpanzee group. And the same applies to humans. Instead, create a culture where your desired behavior is considered the normal behavior, and naturally you will help to improve some of those skills yourself. The second benefit is competitiveness. Now, we've all heard the expression that comparison is the thief of joy. And although this is completely true, we are terrible human beings, and quite honestly, myself included, I can be a little competitive at times. So what I noticed is that every single day where Chris would beat me by 20, 30 minutes more productivity, I said, damn it, I'm going to get just a few more minutes tomorrow. Maybe I can just beat Chris today. Sometimes I did, sometimes I didn't. But just that drive from having that healthily competitive nature ultimately brought the best out of me and the best out of Chris as well. We've seen competitiveness work in numerous scenarios, such as business, athleticism, and the rise of civilizations. Competitiveness can sometimes bring the best out of you and the best out of society if it's treated in a healthy way. And in the world of productivity, I consider it a pretty good thing. So that pretty much wraps up my video. How I conducted a month-long productivity experiment and 3 learnings that I took away from it that hopefully will benefit you today. I'm hoping to include a part 2 of this because quite honestly, I learned such a huge amount about myself and hopefully some things that you can find valuable too. So if you are interested, drop a like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.